Hello and welcome to another episode of Read Brave, a comics podcast from the Graphomania Podcast Network. I'm your host, Vinton Bain, and it's time for This Week in Comics. This week, we got a release date for the Punisher Netflix series, which I am very excited for. It will be coming out November 17th, the same day as the Justice League film. Some people are angry about this, but I don't mind it. I won't be seeing the Justice League film on opening day anyways, but I don't think that Justice League is going to be losing any ticket sales to a Netflix show that can be watched at any time. Besides, like Zoidberg says, why not both? In other Netflix TV show news, we found out that Iron Fist will be teaming up with Luke Cage in Luke's second season for at least a little while, and I'm very excited about this. In the Defenders show, they showed that they really have a nice chemistry together, and I could dig some heroes for hire. That could be pretty cool. Speaking of comic book TV shows, I just caught up on this new season of The Flash, which is only a few episodes in. And slight spoilers if you haven't yet seen the premiere of this new season. Can I just say that I am super disappointed that we brought Barry back right away. I really thought that they were telling us that we were going to get at least a few episodes of Wally, Kid Flash, direct in the spotlight. So this season started out on a bummer for me. I really like Grant Gustin and his portrayal of Barry Allen immensely, but I love changing the status quo even more. And Kid Flash in this show is fantastic. Speaking again of comic book shows I am keeping up with, The Gifted is something I've been watching week to week. And this new episode on Monday was starting to bore me, and I got really worried that this show was becoming mediocre. And that's a thing that happens pretty often with comic book shows, so that worry I think is valid. But almost as a response to this, things amped up toward the end and got really, really good. And it looks like next episode is going to be more of that, so I'm really looking forward to that next episode. Let's move on to some comic book movie news. It looks like Logan director James Mangold confirmed that he is working on an X-23 movie script, though he did admit that this is just in the dreaming stage of things. I'm really looking forward to this, and I really sincerely hope that they let Daphne Keane reprise her role and grow into becoming Wolverine on her own, taking some inspiration from the all-new Wolverine comic book series. I think even though she is young right now with production times, and I mean, she's already 12, she could be 15 by the time we get another movie, and then give her 2 or 3 movies and she could be a straight adult by the end of it. And it would be a really cool way to tell that story. But that's just my opinion, and I don't make movies. So what do I know? Thor Ragnarok continues to receive wonderful reviews, which often mention the soundtrack as being a high note. They released the soundtrack this weekend, and while I haven't listened to it yet, I'm very excited because they hired Devo frontman Mark Mothersbaugh to craft an 80s heavy soundtrack, which speaks directly to my heart. And before any of you get a little crazy and go, well, I hate Devo, I can't imagine this soundtrack being good, Mark Mothersbaugh has crafted a million really good soundtracks, including the Lego movie. So he knows what he's doing. The Sony Venom film began production this week, so it looks like that movie might actually come out, and I can hardly believe it. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. On the final note before we move on, a little callback to last episode, you should all check out the Spider-Man Homecoming video from the YouTube channel How It Should Have Ended, because it's fantastic and better than all the special features that come on the Blu-ray. Stupid non-commentary having Spider-Man Homecoming Blu-ray. I did want to mention that this past week I read the first volume of Batgirl of Burnside for the Excelsior podcast, where we dived into that story and had a lot of fun talking about it. This comic is basically like Scott Pilgrim meets Batgirl, and it's wonderful. Babs Tarr is a fantastic artist who was just picked up for her fan art to do this, had never done comics before, and she does an amazing job with Cameron Stewart's help on layouts. If you have already read this, you should check out what the same creative team did afterward, Motor Crush, on Image Comics. Moving on to the comics from last week that I read, Batman number 33 has Batman getting married, and it's time to tell all the kids. I love all the Bat family scenes in the mansion, and we even get a shout out to Bat Cow. So who doesn't love a shout out to Bat Cow? This issue is definitely my issue of the week. I cannot emphasize enough how much you should be reading Tom King's Batman. Secret Warriors number 7 came out this past week, and I never expected the Secret Empire tie-in title to be one of my favorite comics coming out, but it is, and I'm so glad it's continuing. Moon Girl and Karnak's interactions are simply brilliant. I posted some of that on my Twitter account, and it's one of my most popular tweets right now at the moment, getting retweeted even as we're talking here. The numbers are growing. So you should check that out. It's a great comic. Iron Man number 593 came out, and I had my worries, and I still have my worries. There were some nice nods to Riri and Doom taking over the mantle, but the issue was all set up, and to be honest, I'm not looking forward to Stark coming back. I have loved both Riri and Doom taking over, and I would just be so ecstatic if this would just continue. A lot of the comics I read this week were a little bit meh to me. Not bad, but not amazing, not mind-blowing. So that's actually all I'm going to have to talk about for comics this past week. Let's move on to what's coming out this week. First up, we have all new Wolverine number 26. This continues the Orphan of X storyline, and I'm pretty excited about this. This last issue was pretty good, and like I've said multiple times on this podcast, this is continually one of the best series that Marvel is putting out currently. Amazing Spider-Man continues with number 790, continuing the fall of Parker, and considering the last issue may have been the best issue of Spider-Man I've ever read, and that's high praise since he's like my favorite superhero. I could not be possibly any more excited for this comic than I already am. I'm looking forward to this so much. I'm looking forward to so much more Mockingbird. Thank you for putting Mockingbird in this comic. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur number 24 comes out this week. In last issue, Moon Girl, Harry and the Henderson style returned Devil Dinosaur home, and I don't know where they are going to go from here, but they better make it good, because I don't like that. Don't like that at all. Want that fixed. Please have a good story idea. Thank you. Silver Surfer number 14 ends the run from Dan Slott and Mike Allred that I have heard a million amazing things about. I have wanted to read this so much, but I just never can fit it into my reading schedule. And the more you fall behind on something, the more it's like, well, I have so many issues to catch up on. So I just haven't gotten to that yet. But I plan on buying it if they release an omnibus of some sort, some kind of bigger collection. I'm going to save up for that, maybe ask for it for Christmas. Hopefully they get it out by then. Also, USAvengers number 11 comes out this week, shedding some light on what happened to Cannonball during Secret Empire and his disappearance. This series has become a favorite of mine, really surprisingly, because it started out a little goofy and I wasn't sure about it. So I'm really looking forward to this issue. So that's what I'm looking forward to coming out this week. Reminder, read Batman by Tom King. Number 33 was a great issue. It's my pick of the week, but this whole series has been fantastic. It has a bit of a slow start, a weird transition if you're used to Snyder's Batman or if you're used to Tom King from other things. But as soon as he has his interactions with Bane, it starts becoming one of the best Batman comics I have ever read. So we've pulled into the station for this episode, so let's wrap it up, friends. If you want to get into contact with us, hit us up on Twitter at ReadBrave, on Instagram at ReadBraveComics, email us at contact@graphocast, or personally, I'd really enjoy talking comics with you on Twitter, so hit me up at FleshEater. If you would like to support the Graphomania Podcast Network, and specifically this show, check out patreon.com/Graphocast, that's GRAPHOCAST, and get some extra goodies for doing so, including my detailed notes for the stories we cover over on the Excelsior podcast. Please remember to leave a rating and review on iTunes, because that'll help out a lot. All right. I'm going to go listen to the Stranger Things Season 2 soundtrack, which I just found out is on Spotify, and anxiously await Season 2 to be released this Friday. See you next time, true believers. Go read Batman. Go read Batman. This has been a Graphomania production. If you would like to hear more podcasts, go to graphocast.com, GRAPHOCAST.com. Follow us on Twitter at Graphocast and like the Graphomania page on Facebook for news and updates.